A careful read of the Cointelpro papers, that is the papers of the counterintelligence program of the United States government, reveal that the biggest fear inside our government was that the interests of those who pulled the strings would get totally engulfed and swallowed up by black people and white people coming together during that time of the civil rights movement and beyond, and successfully pressing for a full justice agenda that encompassed both domestic and foreign policies. If they were afraid of that then, I guarantee you they are still afraid of it now. Secondly, the leadership of this new movement cannot be the leadership that is responsible for the death of the truth, justice, and peace movements inside the United States. Going to the same people who caused the problem by abandoning their publicly stated convictions is not going to get us closer to the truth or peace. This means that we might have to thin our ranks, but at least we will know that those deep in the trenches with us are not sleeping with the enemy. Finally, we need a voting bloc that places peace and the budget priorities of peace and people's needs above any other special interest. This voting bloc will not support any candidate running for office from the war party, because it should be crystal clear to everyone who cares about peace that we can't get from here to where we want to be by doing what those who are responsible for this mess want us to do. In order to take our country back and make our country better. The fact is that unless we are willing to step outside of this box of political conformity, we will continue to get what we've always gotten. Now, finally, for the record, let me say that I left Congress not because I wanted to, but because the special interests and the war party wanted me out. What could I possibly have done to raise their ire? Well, for the 12 years that I was in Congress, I filed articles of impeachment against George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Condoleezza Rice. I voted against every Pentagon appropriation, considering it immoral to spend so much money on war when millions of children go to bed hungry every night. Exploring the role of race and class in the government's response to Hurricane Katrina, and introduced legislation to punish law enforcement that prevented the mostly black citizens fleeing the floodwaters from crossing over from New Orleans into the mostly white suburbs. I wrote legislation to ban the importation of coltan from the Democratic Republic of Congo into the United States because of the I was the first member of Congress to ask the Bush administration of September 11th, what did it know and when did it know it? And I led the Congressional Black Caucus Task Force at the 2001 World Conference Against Racism, defying President Bush's boycott. Currently, I am an endorser of the Brussels Tribunal that cooperated in the filing of a lawsuit in Spain against all U.S. presidents responsible for war crimes in Iraq. I participate in the Malaysia Peace Organization's efforts to criminalize war, establish a war crimes tribunal, and hold leaders accountable for their wars. And in December of 2008, I tried to take humanitarian supplies to the people of Gaza after the start of Israel's Operation Cast Lead, and the Israeli military rammed and destroyed our boat. In June of 2009, I tried to take crayons to the children of Gaza, and the Israelis hijacked our boat, kidnapped us, took us to Israel, where I spent 7 days in an Israeli prison. I do with my body what I did with my congressional office. I left Washington because the pro-Israel lobby was able to utilize all of its leverage inside both the Democratic and Republican parties, target and then oust me. They ousted me because I dared to believe that all human beings, including Palestinians, have human rights. I did what I am now asking 1 million U.S. voters to do. I declared my independence from a national leadership that had caused my country to become complicit in war crimes, torture, crimes against humanity, and crimes against the peace. I joined the Green Party and in 2008 ran for President of the United States. I traveled the length and breadth of my country, and now I travel the world carrying a message of truth, justice, peace, and dignity. I spent approximately 10 of the 12 months of 2009 outside of my country. But now I'm being told by my friends and supporters that it's time for me to go back home. That the real heavy lifting is inside our country. That if we want life to be better for the people in refugee camps all over the world, that we've got to change the policies coming out of Washington, D.C. My very first campaign theme was warriors don't wear medals, they wear scars. And I've worn my scars in public for all the world to see. And honestly, sometimes I wonder if it's worth it. I take a look at where the world is and I say, what could I possibly do to stop this? And then I think of the people of Gaza whom I saw after Israel's Operation Cast Lead. I saw in Gaza the indomitable spirit of humanity. Despite the pain, the murder, the killing, the destruction, I saw life and I experienced love. But we don't have to go to Gaza to gain inspiration to continue to struggle. If we just dare to look into the eyes of the homeless man looking for a warm bed, or the tired face of a mother on her way to work at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's still dark, if we would just dare to love the nameless human beings whose lives turn on the policies of powerful politicians and choose to support or ignore, I know that we can become inspired. And in the process, maybe spark a bit of hope in the desperate and the hopeless. No one deserves to be hopeless. So I've come a long way to be with you. And I thank you, the International Peace Conference, for this invitation. When we were organizing our emergency anti-Afghanistan escalation rally in front of the White House, one of my supporters reminded me of my own saying, which is, we must never give in when we are right. Peace is right, and we must never give up. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.